Hi students, good evening everyone. I hope all are doing well. Welcome to Infinity Learn by Sri Chaitanya. This is me Soorya, your chemistry faculty from Infinity Learn. So I hope I am perfectly audible and visible to each and everyone present over here. So those who are watching the live, just mark your attendance here. Okay, in the last classes we have already completed the complete chapter for the CBSE chemistry, right? So we have studied the chemical reactions and equations. We have already completed the one-shot revision for the classes. So here we are again repeating the very important topics from the chapter chemical reactions and equations. So let us see what are the important topics from the one by one, right? So we know that what is the important topics from the chemical reactions and equation. From the name itself, it's about the chemical reactions and the equations. How to balance the chemical equations, how to identify the reaction in terms of the equation, right? So let us see what are the important topics from there. So as you can see over here, the first important topic from the chapter is the writing and balancing chemical equations. Writing and balancing chemical equations. We have already studied many questions. We have already discussed the previous year questions, right? So from that we can identify that they will be repeating the question from the balancing and writing the chemical equation. So many times they will be asking in terms of the words. They will be giving the reaction in terms of words. So we need to convert the word equation to the skeletal equation, then we need to balance the chemical equation, right? So we can practice by using the NCERT examples. There will be more examples that are given in the NCERT textbook. So from the NCERT textbook you can practice more equations to balance the chemical equations. Let us see one problem for the balancing of chemical equation. So read the question carefully. So the question is given in terms of words, right? We need to convert the complete words into the skeletal equation. Then after that we need to balance the chemical equations. So question is given here, a solution of potassium chloride when mixed with silver nitrate solution, an insoluble white substance is forming. Write the chemical reaction involved and also mention the type of white substance is formed. So we need to identify the substance given here, right? Potassium chloride, as we already know, we know how to write down the chemical formula of the compound. So for the potassium chloride, KCl will be the chemical formula, right? Then that will be treating with the silver nitrate, AgNO3. So what will be the reaction formed over here? Silver nitrate will be treating with the potassium chloride to form silver chloride, AgCl plus KNO3, right? Now we need to, is there any balancing happen? We need to balance the chemical equation. So as you can see over here, all the elements are given here as balanced, right? Silver is 1 over here, nitrate is again 1, potassium is again 1. So which means this complete reaction is balanced here. Now we need to identify the substance which is produced as a white substance, right? So this silver chloride will be the white precipitate formed over here. And this is the question repeated in the CBSE 2015. Hi Charu, good evening. Now let us see one more questions over there based on the balancing of chemical equation. Read the question carefully. This question was asked from CBSE 2015 again. Write the balanced equation for the following reaction and identify the type of reaction in each case. So first you need to identify the chemical formula of the substance given here. We need to identify the chemical formula of the reactants. Then after that we need to identify the skeletal equation for the chemical reaction. Then balance the chemical equation. So what will be the chemical equation for the first reaction? Okay, what is the confusion here? Okay, let's talk about the first reaction given here. That is about the potassium bromide, right? Potassium is K over here, bromide is KBr. Then barium iodide, right? BaI2. Treating together to form potassium iodide, that is Ki plus barium bromide. So now to balance the equation, I will be putting 2 over here. So we will be getting the balanced chemical equation for the first reaction. Is that clear? So what we need to do first we need to identify the chemical formula of the substance given here. So we know that how to find out the chemical formula of any compound, right? First we need to identify the cations and anions in the chemical compound. Then we need to crisscross the valencies of the cations and anions, right? Okay, I hope you understand about the first reaction. Then what about the case of second reaction? Hydrogen, right? So H2 plus Cl2 gives hydrogen chloride, that is HCl. We need to balance the number of atoms, that will be 2 over here. So H2 plus Cl2 gives 2 HCl, which is given in the gaseous form. This is again gaseous form. This is again gaseous form, right? So while writing the balancing equation, we need to mention the physical state also if they are given. Is that clear? So we have already seen the most important topic from the first chapter is about the balancing of chemical equation or the balancing of the chemical reactions and the chemical equations. So the second topic is from the types of chemical reactions. Very important. You can expect more questions from the types of chemical equations. Many times they will be repeating from the topics, types of chemical reactions. So what are the different types of chemical reactions we have studied? What are the different types of chemical reactions we have studied? The first type is the combination reaction, right? So combination reaction means 2 or more than reactants combined together to form a single product. That is known as a combination reaction. This is again known as a synthesis process, right? Synthesis. Then next one is the decomposition reaction, just reverse of the combination reaction, right? A single reactant will be break down into two or more than products. That is known as a decomposition reaction, and decomposition reaction is known as the reverse of the opposite of the combination reaction, right? Then we have studied the displacement reaction depending upon the reactivity series of the metals. Depending upon the reactivity series of the metals, we will be studying the displacement reaction, right? So high reactive metal can easily displace the low reactive metal from their solution. We have already studied the experiment between ferrous sulfate and the copper, right? So that's about the displacement reaction. Then we have studied the double displacement reaction again. Then last one is the redox reaction. In the case of redox reaction, there will be two types of reaction happening. First one is the oxidation, and second one is the reduction reaction, right? So first we need to identify which one is the oxidation reaction, which one is the reduction reaction. Based on that, we need to identify the oxidizing agent as well as the reducing agent. Clear? So let's practice one question based on the types of chemical equations, types of chemical reactions here. So 3 reactions are given here. We need to identify the type of reactions given here. So can you please give me the answer for the question? First reaction, CaO react with water to form calcium hydroxide. So what type of reaction it is? So this is the form in which 2 or more reactants are combined together to form the single product, right? So this reaction is known as a combination reaction or synthesis process. Then what about the second reaction? So we know about the reactivity series, right? So you can see over here the barium can easily displace aluminum from the solvent and so on, right? So which means this is the displacement reaction in which 2 ions are displacing. So these are known as the double displacement reaction. Double displacement reaction. Then what about the case of last case? Last case you can see over here, a single reactant is break down to more than 2 or 3 products, right? So this is known as a decomposition reaction. So this is again the question asked on CBSE 2013. So you can expect more questions from the types of chemical equations. Is there any doubt? So we have already completed the complete chapter for the chemical reactions and equations. In that time I have already mentioned about the types of chemical reactions, right? We have studied the combination reaction, decomposition reaction, displacement reaction and the redox reaction. So in the case of displacement reaction there will be 2 types of the double displacement is also present over there. The next important topic from the chapter is about the reactivity series and the displacement reaction, right? Reactivity series and the displacement reaction. So depending upon the reactivity of metals, the high reactive metals can easily displace low reactive metals from their solutions. So you must have an idea about the reactivity series of the metals. I will write down the reactivity series over there. You can use your own mnemonic or the trick to find out the complete series of the reactivity series of the metals. So this is the reactivity series, right? As we are moving from top to bottom in the series, what is happening to the reactivity? Reactivity decreases, right? So we can compare the reactivity in terms of the hydrogen atom. All the elements which above the hydrogen can easily displace hydrogen from the solution, and the bottom and I mean down group elements cannot be easily displace hydrogen from their solutions. Is that clear? So these are about the reactivity series of the metals. Highly reactive metals can easily displace the low reactive metals from their solution, and we will be discussing the same in the chapter of acid, base and salt, as well as the metals and non-metals. Okay, here is the question based on the reactivity series. What can be seen when a strip of copper metal is placed in a solution of silver nitrate? Read the question carefully. What is the observation when we made if you are placing the copper metal in the solution of silver nitrate? So we need to focus on the reactivity series of the metals. So solution will become blue, right? So what is the reaction here? If you are taking the copper strip, treating with the silver nitrate solution, they will be forming the copper nitrate as well as the silver, silver is formed over here, right? So what is experiencing here? We know that the complete reactivity series of metals, right? So copper is highly reactive. So copper can easily displace silver from the silver nitrate solution depending upon the reactivity series. So we have studied, right, in the case of So these are the part of the reactivity series. So you can see over here, if you compare the reactivity, silver is more reactive than the copper, right? Sorry, silver is less reactive than the copper. As we are moving from top to bottom, what is happening to the reactivity? Reactivity decreases, which means that copper is more reactive than silver, or silver is less reactive than copper. So which means that copper can easily displace silver from the silver nitrate solution based on the reactivity series. So that is why a shiny silver metal is observed over there as a result. And the complete solution will change the colors to blue because copper nitrate is blue in color. Is there any doubt? Okay, fine. The next important topic from the chapter is the oxidation and reduction concept, right? We have already studied what are the redox type of redox reaction in which, okay, oxidation and reduction. So we need to identify what is the process or what is the concept of the oxidation reduction based on the three methods or the three concepts, right? We have studied about the classical concept. So what is the classical concept of the oxidation reduction? So oxidation is the addition of oxygen, right? So we know about the process of oxidation, right? What is the meaning of oxidation? Abhikumar, do you have doubt in the case of oxidizing agent? So let's start from here. The classical concept, we know that oxidation is the addition of oxygen or any electronegative element, right? Addition of oxygen or any electronegative element. Or we can explain in terms of the hydrogen also. Oxidation is the same process in which removal of hydrogen happens. Removal of hydrogen or any electropositive elements. Then how we can define the reduction in terms of the classical concept? Okay, let's talk about the oxidizing agent. Once we are completing about the oxidation, we will be discussing about the oxidizing agent. So reduction means reverse of the oxidation, right? So reduction is the either addition of hydrogen or any electropositive element, or removal of oxygen or removal of any electronegative element. So this is about the classical concept. Similarly, there will be another concept known as the oxidation number concept, or otherwise known as the modern concept. So we know how to calculate the oxidation number or the oxidation state of the element in a compound, right? So if the oxidation number increases from one compound from one element to another element, that process is known as the oxidation. If the oxidation number or state decreases, that process is known as the reduction. So these are the second concept or the modern concept. Then last one is the loss or gain of electrons. In terms of electrons also we can define the oxidation as well as the reduction. If it is loss of electrons, they are known as the oxidation. If it is a gain of electrons, they are known as the reduction process. Okay, let us discuss about the oxidizing and reducing agent based on this question. So just think about the reaction given here. Copper oxide is adding hydrogen to form copper plus water. So how we can define the process? What is happening to the copper oxide? Addition of hydrogen, right? Addition of hydrogen means it will be the reduction process. So what is happening to the copper oxide? You can find out the oxygen state of the element, right? So we know that in the case of oxygen it will be -2. So obviously copper will be having +2 charge. Then hydrogen is in the elemental form. They will be having the oxygen state of 0 over here. Copper is again metal form 0. Then what about the case of water? Hydrogen will be having +1. Oxygen will be having -2. So from copper, from the first compound copper oxide to copper, what is happening to the oxygen state of copper? It decreases from +2 to 0, right? +2 to 0 means oxidation number decreases, or the process is known as a reduction process. Is there any doubt? The next one we will be considering about the hydrogen. What is happening to the hydrogen? Oxidation number increases from 0 to +1, which means oxidation happens, right? So based on the oxidation and reduction process, we can define the substances as oxidizing agent and the reducing agent. So what is the role of oxidizing agent? They will be helping the oxidation of other substance by itself undergoing reduction. itself undergoing reduction, right? So from here you can identify that copper oxide is undergoing the reduction. Copper oxide is undergoing the reduction, which means that copper oxide will be the oxidizing agent over here and hydrogen will be the reducing agent over here. Same, reducing agent is defined as a substance that itself undergoing oxidation. Is there any doubt? Okay, is there any doubt how to calculate the oxidizing and reducing agent? How to find the oxidizing and reducing agent? Okay, I hope it is clear. Then again, one more question is just try by yourself. You need to identify what is happening here for the particular reaction. So this is again based on the redox reaction. The first step, you need to identify the oxidation state of different elements present over here. So can you please quickly give me the answer? In the case of lead oxide, what is the oxidation state of lead? Oxygen is obviously -2 and carbon is the elemental form 0. Then lead is again in the elemental form 0. Carbon dioxide means it will be -2 and this will be +4. Whatever it is of this lead, it will be having +2, right? So we need to identify the oxidation or reduction based on the oxidation number method, right? So if I am taking here from lead oxide to lead, oxidation number decreases, which means it is reduced. Then what about the case of carbon? Oxidation number increases from 0 to +4, which means that is oxidized. So what is the given answer here? Given options here, it will be lead oxide is reduced. Okay, lead oxide is reduced and carbon is oxidized, right? Carbon is oxidized, which means 3 and 4 will be the correct answer. That means option B is the correct answer. And these are the last important topics from the chapter, chemical reactions and equations. That is about the effects of oxidation in daily life. We have already studied the rusting of iron, right? Rusting of iron is the example. So we need to identify what is the process behind the rusting of iron. Then we have studied the combustion reaction, right? Combustion, if you are treating with the oxygen, there will be forming the carbon dioxide and water. Combustion reaction. And respiration is the human life, daily life process, which is a part of the this is again the redox reaction, right? Then corrosion. In terms of corrosion, we will be discussing tarnishing of copper as well as the rusting of iron. So these are very important. Many times in the CBSE examination, they will be asking in terms of the corrosion part, how to prevent the corrosion, what are the methods to prevent the corrosion. Then the last topic is about the predicting the product depending upon the reaction, especially for the decomposition, displacement and the double displacement reaction. We need to identify the product. We need to predict the product of the reaction. So for an example is given here. Write the products formed when CaCO3 is heated strongly. So what will be the answer? So what is the product forming here when we are heating CaCO3? Calcium carbonate, right? We will be heating. It will be producing calcium oxide plus carbon dioxide. So you can expect this type of question to predict the products of the reaction. Okay, one second. So let's see a brief example about the combustion reaction. Combustion reaction is the type of reaction in which the particular substance is okay, we can identify this combustion reaction. Combustion reaction means any substance that will be treating with the oxygen to form carbon dioxide plus water. So depending upon the substance, we will be getting the completely balanced chemical equation there. This is already provided in the NCERT textbook. Just refer from there, right? What do you mean by the combustion? Combustion means we will be treating with the oxygen and the resultant product will be carbon dioxide plus water. Is that clear? Then last type is about the reasoning question, reasoning type of question, reasoning based question. So there is an example given here. Why do chips packets contain nitrogen gas? Can anyone please give me the answer for the question? So this is about the application level question, right? Nitrogen gas will absorb the moisture. Then what about is the second reaction? Second question. Why does iron nail become brownish when kept in copper sulfate solution? Can you please explain in terms of the chemical equation or the chemical reaction? So this question is again based on the displacement reaction or the reactivity series. So iron nail, right? Iron nail. Iron will be treating with the copper sulfate. So what about the reactivity series of iron and copper? Which one is more reactive, iron or copper? Iron will be more reactive, right? So iron will be more reactive. So this iron will be displace the copper from the copper sulfate solution. So they will be forming the ferrous sulfate as well as the pure copper metal. So that is why what is happening here, the solution color changes, right? They will be become brownish when copper is present over here. I hope you understand. So these are the very important topics from the chemical reactions and equation. I am repeating again from one by one. First about the balancing the chemical equations in the chemical reaction, and second one is the type of chemical reaction. You can expect questions from the combination reaction, decomposition reaction, displacement and the redox reaction. The next one is about to identify the oxidizing agent as well as the reducing agent depending upon the redox reaction, and the next one is about the calculation. Next one is about the reasoning type of question. You can expect this type of question, and along with the corrosion process, how we can prevent the corrosion process and the application level of the corrosion, especially for the rusting as well as the tarnishing of copper. So this is high weightage chapter from the CBSE syllabus. I am repeating again, balancing of chemical equation is very important. So try or practice more questions from the chapter itself. So there is a scoring tip. Write the balanced equation and name the type of reaction, mostly for the 2 or 3 mark question. If you are asking about any question based on the chemical equation, first to write down the balanced chemical equation and name the type of reaction. That will be very easy to give the high marks over there. And practice NCERT in-text questions as well as the exemplar problems given in the textbook. That will be really helpful for you to score maximum in the chemistry subject. So I hope it is clear for everyone. So there is a reminder about the score examination. As we already know, Sri Chaitanya Academy is providing you the score examination opportunity. Exam will be conducting on the September 28th. So before 26, you need to register for the examination. Link will be provided in the description. You need to register for the examination. Okay then, thank you so much all of you. I hope you guys enjoyed the session. If you really like the session, hit the like button, subscribe with the channel and share this particular session to your friends also. The next class I will be coming by with the most important topics from the chapter, acid, bases and salts. So bye bye all of you. See you in the next class.